Welcome to today's lesson, which is about points on the coordinate plane. The goals of today's lesson are that you can describe a coordinate plane that has 4 quadrants and that you can plot points with negative coordinates in the coordinate plane. So here's a coordinate plane shown in the image here. Usually we draw them on graph paper so we can have straight lines and evenly spaced numbers. The horizontal line is the x-axis. You can see the x here. And the vertical line is the y-axis. So horizontal for x and vertical for y. The origin is the point in the very center where the two axes meet. And when we plot points on the coordinate plane, we usually plot them where lines on the grid intersect, and we plot write two numbers, in this case like this. That's called a coordinate pair, and the first number represents the x value and the second number represents the y value. And if you look down from the point to the x-axis, you can see that it's 3. And if you look across to the y-axis, you can see that it is 2. So that's where the 3, 2 comes from. And it's always x before y. Think of the alphabet in alphabetical order. X comes before y. There are 4 quadrants on the coordinate plane. You can see them here, quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they're very often written like this with Roman numerals. So 1 is represented by an I like this. 2 is 2 lines. 3 lines. And 4 is IV. And it can be hard to remember which quadrant is the first quadrant. So here's a tip I learned some years ago. Draw the letter C for coordinate plane over the entire graph. I'm going to draw it here. Actually, I'm going to draw it with my highlighter to make it nice and big. There's my letter C. And where you start your letter C is quadrant 1. That's your first one. And as you go around with the letter C, you come to quadrants 2, 3, and 4. So that's just a little tip to help you remember which quadrant is which. To plot points on the coordinate plane, remember that the first coordinate is always the x-coordinate and the second coordinate is the y-coordinate. So 3 on the x-axis and then up as far as 6 on the y-axis. That's A. B is 6 on the x-axis and then down to -4 on the y-axis. C, -5 on the x-axis, 1 on the y-axis. D, -2, -3. E, 0 on the x-axis and up to 5 on the y-axis. And F, 4 on the x-axis and 0 on the y-axis. So in a coordinate pair, the first coordinate is the x-coordinate and the second coordinate is the y-coordinate. So think alphabetically, x before y. And to remember which quadrant is which, draw a large letter C through the 4 quadrants, just like you would write a C, like this. And then you've got your quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4, or as they're usually written in Roman numerals, I, and IV. So today you saw how to describe a coordinate plane that has 4 quadrants, and you can plot points with negative coordinates on the coordinate plane. And that's the end of today's lesson.